Last night on the show, I told you the story of a little girl, little Lorelei. Little Lorelei is 23 months old. She was involved in a car accident, yet she was sent away from Wyong Hospital. She was sent away from Wyong Hospital because they thought that she didn't need a scan. After 2 days of writhing in pain at home, her mum and dad brought her back to hospital. It was at that point in time when they decided to do a scan and they worked out the little Lorelei may well have broken her neck. Tonight, Lorelei is in a better hospital and her parents will be on Paul Murray Live to talk about the experience that they had in Wyong Hospital. I met with them just a couple of hours ago, and Elise and Ben are beautiful people who are going through a terrible time because as we go to air tonight, they don't know what the long-term effects of those injuries are going to be on the little girl. And because of the brace that she is in, they have not been able to comfort her with a skin-to-skin hug for days. You'll meet them in person in a couple of seconds. But today, there was a response of sorts from the Health Minister, Brad Hazzard, in New South Wales. Did he go and see them face to face? No. He did pick up a phone, however, but Lorelei's parents say it felt more like he was reading off a script. They'll tell you what happened in that phone conversation a little later tonight on Paul Murray Live. But despite the fact that Channel 7 News, who broke this story, who have championed this story on their breakfast program Sunrise, despite the fact that the Daily Telegraph has written extensively about it today, and despite what we have done on a national platform in the past 24 hours, the Health Minister, Brad Hazzard, in New South Wales gave no interviews today. He gave no press conferences today. Instead, what we heard was what he had to say in question time today when asked a question by an MP. And you may know...
Dealing with a little baby is little fella like Lorelei. She's only 21 months. It is very challenging, and I know talking to her mum and her dad, they have a view on what should have occurred. But I would just say it's fairly complex as soon as you get into these medical issues. I know they take the view that a CAT scan should have been applied. A CAT scan, of course, irradiates an area, and babies have, if you like, very vulnerable organs.
You are a piece of work. The fact that he couldn't just simply stand and say, "I'm sorry," instead, apart from referring to a little girl as a little fella, this guy, they were of the view, dumb, normal people, that their kid should have a scan. They will detail on this program later tonight that the Health Minister of New South Wales said that one of the reasons why their little girl, who had a broken neck, was not given a scan was because there was a slight risk of radiation exposure that could lead to cancer. What cowardly bullshit. I mean, are we honestly supposed to believe that the Health Minister of the biggest state in the country is now saying that you shouldn't have scans that could save you from a wheelchair because maybe, just maybe, there might be an adverse reaction to radiation? This bloke will never front. He won't front up on this show. He'll be more pissed off about me talking about it on TV than the failures of people in his own system. But I'm not letting this bloke off the hook because he is the person who has been in charge of the health system for some time in New South Wales. He is the person who should take personal responsibility for the failures of the system. He should take personal responsibility that a family who tried to get something for their kid was turned away. And the reason this story is going to keep going is because Lorelei's mum and dad have been inundated with other stories of other kids who got poor treatment in this hospital. Just one, again, by 7 News, and I congratulate them for leading their news with it again tonight. There is great pressure in television news to move on, to do something new. The fact that they have put this together for 2 nights means maybe we could smoke this bloke out to start taking some hard questions, not just call a little girl a little fella in the Parliament today. Here's another story that this bloke has to explain.
Today, another claim of negligence at the same hospital. This is Oliver Jones. Last month, his parents took him to Wyong with severe abdominal pain.
12:30 a.m. Sunday, he woke up screaming in pain and he had uncontrollable diarrhoea.
Like Lorelei, doctors would send Oliver home, but his condition worsened. Hours later, he was back at Wyong.
He pinned my son down and forced Nurofen down his throat.
But Oliver didn't need painkillers. He needed surgery for a ruptured appendix. He could have died.
That's what we're dealing with. Instead, yesterday, when they thought this was one TV station, one news, the media strategy was say nothing and hope that a underling can talk about it. Today, the strategy was to call the family and tell them what they claim is reading, it felt like reading off a script. Things where a theoretical exposure to radiation could maybe lead to cancer was a good enough reason for their kid who was involved in a head-on car crash, who broke her neck, not to have that scam. Minister, you're in trouble. Big trouble. Because that moment has now happened for you as a politician where the excuse is more important than representing the people of the state who turn in their greatest moment of need for help. And humans will make mistakes, and you will make mistakes. I make mistakes. But here's 2 cases that have now been exposed of exactly the same type of thing happening in a hospital. And your response for this little girl is so piss weak that you mention a little fella and you didn't even have the decency to hop in your limousine and talk to these people face to face. Well, I did. You will see them tonight on Paul Murray Live. I'm not stopping. Because that little girl who is currently in a brace, who has been in a coma, deserves people to pay attention and deserves us to be able to focus and talk about something more than once and just move on. You cannot rely on news ADD, Minister, because I'm not going anywhere.